Purity of the electoral rolls, or rather the lack of it, continues to be at the center of the political discourse. The latest development on this front are the allegations made by leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi with regard to the voter list in Haryana. He claims that the BJP won the assembly elections in Haryana because of large-scale manipulation of the electoral rolls in the state. The Election Commission of India says that we need the special intensive revision of the electoral rules, especially to deal with questions being raised about the electoral rules. But the SIR itself is being criticized for being ill-timed, poorly planned, and it is also being said that it is, an exclusion, an exercise in exclusion of voters. Meanwhile, the ECI has, after Bihar, rolled out SIR in 12 states and union territories. We have with us eminent lawyer and activist Prashant Bhushan to talk about the various issues associated with the electoral rolls and the SIR. Thank you so much, sir, for being with us.
My pleasure.
So to begin with, I want to ask you about the allegations which have been raised by leader of opposition Rahul Gandhi with regard to the voter list in Haryana. And he says that it's because of the changes or the manipulations that were made in the voter list that the BJP won the assembly election. How do you look at these allegations? How serious are these allegations?
So we don't know whether the BJP won on the basis of these manipulations. But what we do know is that, yes, the voters list has very, very serious problems, particularly the fact that in many cases, the same voter or the same photo, at least, of one voter appears in multiple places, sometimes as many as 200 places in one particular case. So we don't know whether 200 she cast 200 votes or whatever, 22 votes for that Brazilian woman. But it's possible that multiple votes were cast on the basis of the photograph of the same woman. But we don't know. The Election Commission says that you prove that multiple votes were cast. Now, how can anybody prove that unless Election Commission has that record? Election Commission in every polling booth notes who are the people who came to vote. They obtain their signature. Of course, they don't keep a record of who they voted for. They can't keep a record of that. But they certainly know who came to vote. So if the woman who appears 200 times, if many people cast votes in that woman's name or where her face appears, then it shows that multiple votes were cast. But that record is only with the Election Commission, which they are refusing to show. In fact, the main problem, of course, there is a problem with the existing voters' lists, as is clear from the Haryana case, and therefore an SIR is required. But the manner in which this SIR is being done, far from dealing with the problem, only threatens to compound that problem, because the SIR is being done without any transparency, without any guidelines, and the Election Commission wants an arbitrary power to exclude anybody on the ground of citizenship or on any other ground. And they want to have the power to include anybody without anybody being able to see that multiple people have been enrolled on the same name or that people from outside have been enrolled in that constituency. The correct way to purify the roll is to hold a social audit of the existing electoral roll, where you call all the people of one particular polling booth whose names appear in the old electoral roll of that polling booth, and you invite everybody, and then you read out the names one by one, and people will tell you that so-and-so has died, so-and-so has moved away, so-and-so doesn't exist, doesn't live here, so-and-so has just his name is not there, but he started living here, etc. That's the soundest way of trying to purify the electoral roll. And on top of that, you need to have complete transparency of, you have to allow people to see the electoral roll in a machine readable form so that people can point out that, look, these are clear duplicates. Election Commission has a deduplication software. I mean, in today's age of artificial intelligence, this is very easy to find out who are the voters who carry the same photograph, who are the voters with the same name, same father's name, etc., or same address. So all that Election Commission has, but it is refusing to use that. So what is absolutely clear is that Election Commission doesn't want any transparency, doesn't want any citizens or voters to find out anything about the electoral roll, and they want to retain with themselves a complete arbitrary power to add whoever and subtract whoever from the electoral roll.
So, how do you look at the response of the Election Commission to these allegations with regard to the electoral rolls? Because clearly, if doubts are being expressed about the electoral roll, which is, at the heart of our democracy, what does it mean, in terms of people's faith in the electoral process, and thereby, do you think that the Election Commission's response has been adequate?
No, not at all adequate. In fact, the Election Commission should have immediately embarked upon an inquiry and an investigation into the very serious allegations made by Rahul Gandhi on video with documentary evidence. So the Election Commission ought to have embarked on a serious investigation, and they certainly can find out whether anybody with the photograph of that Brazilian model voted or not, how many people voted in her name or on her photograph, how many people voted on the photograph of that woman whose name appears 213 times in just 2 polling booths. So therefore, that is something which the Election Commission can easily do, should have done. Instead of that, they are asking Rahul Gandhi to file an affidavit. They are saying that you prove that this person voted twice. How can anybody else prove? The records are with the Election Commission. They are refusing to share even the videos of those polling booths. They are saying this will infringe privacy. The Election Commission itself puts out photographs of people queuing at the polling stations, etc. But they are refusing to allow the people to see these videos. Of course, the videos don't allow you to see who the person has voted for. That's a matter of privacy. But this is not a matter of privacy as to who has come to vote, etc.
The Election Commission also says that political parties belatedly make these allegations about the voters list, and that they do not file any appeals or objections during the revision period, the revision process.
So, firstly, how does anybody file an appeal when you do not give you don't even let them know that your name is being deleted? You don't give them any notice or reasoned order, etc. Against what will they file an appeal? When they go for voting, they come to know that their name is no longer there. How can anybody file an appeal? And besides, why are they asking political parties? Don't the citizens have a right? They are putting every onus on the political party. Why should the onus be on the political party? The onus is on the Election Commission. It's a matter between the voters, the citizens, and the Election Commission. Political parties are just some other parties who are also, yes, they are stakeholders, but they are not the primary people.
How do you look at this allegation made by the opposition parties that the Election Commission is hand in glove with the ruling dispensation in trying to manipulate the voters list to help the ruling parties?
So that is so obvious from so many things. Now there are videos of, there are special trains which have been run for the Bihar election. There are videos of people who are going in that train and who are saying that the BJP paid their tickets. This is a clear corrupt practice. Election Commission doesn't do anything about it. Just prior to the Bihar elections, 10,000 rupees is given to more than 1.5 crore women in Bihar, which is a clear-cut case of bribery. Election Commission says it can't do anything about it, whereas in Tamil Nadu they did stop. They did issue instructions that these kind of sops cannot be given on the eve of election. Model code of conduct is being violated wantonly by the ruling party. Just the day of the election, front page advertisements are issued in all newspapers in violation of the model code, which says campaigning must stop 2 days in advance. The members of the ruling party make all kinds of communal statements and speeches, and yet no action is taken under the model code of conduct against them. So the Election Commission only acts selectively against the opposition leaders, but not against leaders of the ruling party. And it is absolutely clear to anybody who has any eyes at all that the Election Commission is behaving like a stooge of the ruling dispensation, who has appointed them and who has further given them all kinds of immunity from any criminal action, even if they conspire to destroy democracy in this country.
Do you believe that the special intensive revision was also undertaken in a manner that would have helped the ruling dispensation? That is an allegation that has been
Yes. Clearly the intention is, and you see, Rahul Gandhi has also shown that this manipulation of the roll is being done from some centralized place. Because locally you cannot put the photograph of a Brazilian woman in 22 places in the electoral roll. Obviously, this has been done from some centralized place. Even he showed in Karnataka that one person's ID was used from a centralized place, from the headquarters, to make applications for the deletion of thousands of votes, etc. So, this is all centralized. Actually, there are these videos and stories about an Israeli organization which specializes in electoral manipulation. And therefore, if the BJP or somebody has given a contract to that Israeli organization that, look, you get the names of Muslim voters deleted, or get the names of Yadav voters deleted, or get the names of these particular voters who they know are opposed to the ruling dispensation, then if the Election Commission colludes, then this can all be done from a centralized operation. And this appears to be happening. Even in this Bihar case, the number of Muslim votes which have been deleted is disproportionate to the population of Muslims there. So there is 17% Muslim population, but the percentage of Muslims among the voters whose names have been deleted is 25%. So obviously this is being done to help the ruling party, and possibly and probably this is a centralized operation. Instructions are being issued from the headquarters of the Election Commission or through the headquarters of the Election Commission for all this.
The SIR in Bihar is done. Elections in Bihar are also over. So is Bihar SIR now a closed chapter? You feel that the SIR is going to loom large over Bihar for some time to come?
Bihar appears to be a fait accompli. So therefore, I don't think much can be done. Of course, another SIR can be done to review the voters list there and to purify the vote. As I said, you see, there are easy ways of purifying voters lists. You run the deduplication software to remove duplicates. You do a social audit of the voters by holding public hearings in booth by booth. The BLOs should be holding those public hearings where you come to know who are the real people who are living here, who are the people who are entitled to vote. And the Election Commission statement that they are doing this in order to remove foreigners, etc., is absolutely bogus. Firstly, In the Bihar SIR, I believe that there are not even 25 foreigners who have been removed on the ground that they are foreigners from the electoral roll. Secondly, Election Commission has repeatedly said that it is not the job of the Election Commission to examine the citizenship of a person. If a person is in the electoral roll, the Supreme Court has said that there is a presumption that he is a citizen. Thereafter, if somebody objects and gives some evidence to show that he is not a citizen, Election Commission can only refer the matter to a foreigners tribunal or to the court or to the government of India. But it's not the job of the Election Commission to check the citizenship. And on what basis will they check? They are saying that we have given a list of 11 documents. Out of those 11 documents, some are matriculation certificate. How does that prove that you are a citizen? Property certificate. How does that prove that you are a citizen? The only two documents which can prima facie show that you are a citizen is passport and birth certificate. And these are documents which are possessed by a very tiny minority of the population in this country. So if you go on that basis, you will exclude the majority of the people from the voters list by saying that they have not been able to prove that they are citizens. That is why even in an application for enrolling somebody as a fresh voter, the rule is that you have to fill up Form 6. Form 6 says you give some evidence of your place of residence, some evidence that you are above 18, and only a self-declaration of citizenship. No document, no proof, no evidence is required for that. Thereafter, if somebody challenges your citizenship, then of course the Election Commission, if it feels that there is some ground, it can refer the matter to a tribunal, etc. But Election Commission on its own cannot delete anybody who has declared himself to be a citizen from the electoral roll on the ground of citizenship. But this is what they are wanting to do.
So when these very basic legal issues, constitutional issues, have not been dealt with by the Supreme Court in its hearing so far on the SIR, only procedural matters have been looked at so far. In such a situation, when these legal issues which you referred to, whether the Election Commission is even empowered to look into the citizenship matter or not, in such a situation, the Election Commission goes ahead with SIR in 12 more states and union territories. How do you look at that? What can be the repercussion of
this
that?
This is totally dishonest on the part of the Election Commission to try and rush through the SIR. They want to make it a fait accompli as they have succeeded in doing in Bihar also. They want to make it a fait accompli because by the time the Supreme Court hears and decides, they feel that they can go on delaying the hearing till such time that the SIR exercise is completed in those states. This appears to be the plan of the Election Commission. Otherwise, there was no need to rush to do the SIR, even in those states where elections are not due for the next 1 year, etc.
Some changes have been made by the Election Commission in the SIR process, following up from what happened in Bihar. How do you look at those changes?
No, some changes have been made. Some seem to be somewhat positive, but for example, they say that along with your enumeration form, you don't have to give any document. But why do you need to fill up an enumeration form? In the earlier SIR, there was no such requirement. They used to come and do some kind of a social audit. But now instead of social audit, they are saying you fill up the enumeration form. What happens to the migrant labor? What happens to the poor people? And they are not even giving any acknowledgement of the enumeration form. They are not even uploading it on the website in order to create evidence to show that this person has given his enumeration form, etc. So therefore, it's very clear that the Election Commission wants to retain an absolute arbitrary power to remove anybody and to add anybody, and nobody should be able, far from being able to object, that nobody should be even able to see what the Election Commission is doing.
How do you look at the position of Aadhaar in the scheme of things now? The Election Commission has reiterated its proof of identity but not citizenship. So,
No,
how do you look
it's
at
true that it's not a proof of citizenship, but so are so many other documents which the Election Commission has specified. They are not proof of citizenship either. But the BLOs in many places are saying that we will not accept Aadhaar at all. You have to provide one of the other 11 documents. Despite the Election Commission's notification that Aadhaar is also one of the documents that you can give, but in many cases, BLOs are saying we will not accept Aadhaar. So there is a problem.
And how do you look at this importance which is being given to the booth level agents in this process? Before this, the booth level agents did not have any such big responsibility in the revision of electoral roll, and they come with their own partisan biases. So, how do you look at that? The role of
Yes, you
BLO?
see, many parties don't even have booth level agents. In Bihar, we saw that only the BJP has booth level agents in a majority of the booths. Other parties don't have agents even in a majority of the booths. So therefore, to put the onus, you see, it's difficult for parties to get unpaid, honest booth level agents in every polling booth, etc. For many parties, it's very difficult. Only those parties which have a lot of money, etc., can do that, like the BJP.
I want to ask you about Assam being left out of SIR. It's the only poll going state which has not been included in the phase 2 of SIR. How do you look at that? The Election Commission said it's because different citizenship rules apply to Assam and the NRC has not been completed so far. So, how do you look at this explanation given by the CEC with regard to Assam?
This is a bogus explanation. NRC has not been conducted in any other state either. So, if the NRC has not been, actually NRC was completed. You see, the whole game plan was to first exclude a lot of Muslims from citizenship from the NRC in Assam. But unfortunately for the government, the Supreme Court kind of supervised that process, with the result that on the standard adopted by the government, that you have to provide some document to prove your citizenship, a very large number of people got excluded from the NRC in Assam. And the majority, vast majority, were Hindus, not Muslims, because they got uniformly excluded because the Supreme Court was supervising it. Because a lot of poor people don't have any documents to show that, to prove their citizenship. So they thought that they will now bring in Hindus by bringing in CAA. Through CAA, they felt that they could now make those Hindus who had been excluded from NRC to be citizens by claiming that they were refugees. But unfortunately for the government, hardly anybody applied for citizenship under the CAA either, because for applying under CAA, you have to first declare that you are a citizen of Pakistan or Bangladesh or Afghanistan and that you have been prosecuted there. Most of these people, vast majority of these people were Indian citizens. They were not citizens of Pakistan, Bangladesh or Afghanistan. So therefore that ploy also failed. So the government is not being able to figure out how to exclude. They want to exclude Muslims. You see, after realizing that they cannot declare a Hindu Rashtra because that would go against the basic structure of the constitution, they are trying all kinds of strategies. First was NRC to exclude Muslims from, they want to essentially deny voting rights to minorities. So first attempt was through NRC. When that failed, they are now trying through this SIR. Even this is going to fail But this is what this government is constantly trying to somehow deprive minorities of their right to vote. But they are unable to easily do it selectively because sometimes the Supreme Court intervenes, sometimes there is a huge public outcry, etc. Besides, the center cannot control the local machinery and therefore they are unable to do that. But this is clearly the attempt.
So NRC should not have been an impediment for the Election Commission to go ahead with SIR in Assam.
Certainly not. Certainly not.
So do you feel it's mainly because of political reasons that it's not being
obviously,
conducted?
obviously.
So in the end, I want to ask you about what can be done to clean up electoral rolls, because it's clear that we need to clean up electoral rolls. There are problems with the voters list. If not SIR in its present form, what format should the Election Commission be adopting?
No, you can have an SIR, but you have an SIR with which does the cleaning up on the basis of social audits of the electoral rolls. That's the surest, firmest, and best way to clean up the electoral roll. And you need to have constant, complete, proactive, real-time transparency. As the electoral roll goes through revision, so these public hearings at the booth level where the social audit or the Gram Sabha is done should be televised. Not televised, should be video recorded. That video record should be available to everybody so that people can see whether there was some objection to this name, or somebody said that this person has died, or somebody said that this person no longer lives here. Let us see what the people there said about the names on the existing electoral roll. So that's the best way to clean up the electoral roll. Number one, social audit. Number two, full transparency, proactive, real-time transparency. Why are they not giving the electoral roll in a machine-readable form? So that anybody outside the Election Commission cannot easily see that these are so many duplicates here, that these so you cannot even search. So for example, in this SIR, they say 2003 roll will be taken as the base. But 2003 roll is not available in a machine readable form. So if I am searching for my name or my father's name in a 2003 roll, I can't do it. I have to go through it manually. That's the problem.
Okay, sir. Thank you so much for speaking to us on all these issues related to electoral roll and also SIR. Thank you, sir.
Thank you.